Good morning, everybody. Let me straighten out my hair. It is 9 a.m. I'm here stretching on my floor. That's why my background looks a little different than what you're used to, and why the hair is a bit messier than I normally have when I'm making a video. But I like to look at podcasts and things while I stretch, and I was looking at a video of Yasuke from Karate Do Waku, and that's one thing I like to do when I stretch. I'm stretching, but to make it interesting, I listen to different podcasts. This morning I listened to some on the Middle Ages and monasteries and some of the debauchery they had, and some of the vampire myths, and of course my martial arts stuff, right? Which I use to keep motivated and inspired. But let's talk about I think this is something that plagues the Wing Chun world today, and it's something that was there from the outset when it went public. And I kind of always try to figure out, like, I've met people that did Wing Chun and did it extensively, and people that did it not so extensively, and these guys could fight and they could hit hard, right? And I see video after video, and there is a selection bias with things like fight commentary breakdowns and other channels. They tend to, at least at first, not like Wing Chun, but Chi Lala, I think, made a few of them believers, and I love Chi Lala's material and his fight footage, but a lot of this shouldn't surprise anybody who was around when I was a kid and a teenager and observing the martial arts world. And I always wondered why it appears like a lot of these Wing Chun guys can't hit hard. They can't block a hook. There's a lack of quality control. And I think part of it is Wing Chun got really popular really fast in two different time periods. One was after Bruce Lee's death, and the other one was after the commercial success of the Ip Man series. And people really flocked to Wing Chun, and there was a lack of quality control. And I also think modern society in general, believe it or not, crime is trending down in many places in the world, and what I feel like our base of combative and self-defense abilities, attributes, are lacking. Especially the ability to hit hard. A lot of Wing Chun guys look like they couldn't punch their way out of a paper bag, and it's always amazing style that introduced the concept to the public of inch power and short power, 1-inch and 3-inch punches. And certainly I was able to use Wing Chun punches multiple times to really hit people and really stop them, not just in sparring and competition, but in real life altercations. So, what is the issue? I think it is a little bit of laziness on the part of Wing Chun instructors and, allegedly, Ip Man. Okay? And I don't want anybody taking this the wrong way. I have tremendous respect for Wing Chun and Ip Man. I am not primarily a Wing Chun practitioner, but I practice weekly, sometimes daily, all three empty-hand Wing Chun forms. I practice the Wing Chun pole and Wing Chun butterfly knives, and the pole form is something I compiled together out of techniques I was taught. Not necessarily any one lineage's pole form, although with YouTube I've been able to take influences. Same thing with the butterfly knives. It's sort of techniques I've learned and also study on YouTube and from seminars and things. And I had learned butterfly swords with Northern Shaolin and Southern Shaolin from instructors and competed with them. So I'm not a noob to butterfly swords when I organize my Wing Chun training regimen. But here's the issue. I was reading a 3-part series from Black Belt magazine from the 80s from William Chung. I have the PDFs on my computer. And he said that Yip Man didn't like teaching beginners. A lot of Chinese martial artists from different traditions don't like teaching beginners, don't like teaching basics. They don't like regimented basics, and because that's kind of what Japanese martial arts are known for, especially the Japanese version of Okinawan karate, which is the Okinawan version of Chinese kung fu. They're like, let's not do it that way. But I think that is wrong. I think that is non-productive, and that may be part of why it gets passed down from generation to generation, and things are just glossed over. Maybe not lost, but glossed over, right? Whereas if you watch Yatsuke's videos from day one, in all of his videos and some of the free material from his paid material that he posts as a teaser, he immediately gets into hip dynamics, power generation, balance. Very, very important. I mean, things that in many ways are like, would be considered secret techniques in Chinese martial arts, right? Inner workings that can make or break a technique. He makes sure you get it in the beginning and does it on screen, repetition by repetition. And certainly when I did Shotokan, that was something like that. When I did Taekwondo, the principles of Taekwondo that made a strike effective, that made you fast, they really stressed it. And the attribute development, the fitness element, the flexibility, the power, the push-ups, crunches, jumping jacks, cardio, jumping drills, footwork drills, on and on and on, right? Whereas William Chung talks about Yip Man teaching a couple people who taught other people, and said he didn't like teaching beginners. Some wealthy person would pay him a lot of money to learn Wing Chun. He'd show up and allegedly bring William Chung with him and teach him a couple techniques, and William Chung take over. And William Chung claims, and you can do what you like with this information, I think it's still very controversial, that there was a secret hidden art inside of Wing Chun that wasn't taught to any other disciple but William Chung, and he had to save it till he died. And of course he was going around saying, anybody who doesn't believe me, come in and test it out. And then Emin Bostep challenged him. I mean, practically jumped and assaulted him at a seminar, which, generally the way challenges work is you issue a challenge and someone says, I'll take it, meet at this such and such a time. But Emin Boztepe is a German Turk, and both the Germans and Turks kind of really believe in the concept of defending your honor, and they're absolutely willing to fight. So do with that what you will, okay? But if this is the practice of a fighting style known for its practicality, like Wing Chun, where even the headmaster never really bothered to establish a strong base of instructors, and didn't like teaching beginners, didn't like repetition, didn't have patience, and doesn't stress little details until they're right, that's what you get, right? It's not necessarily that Wing Chun or any other Chinese martial art needs to borrow and appropriate techniques from other martial arts. We have tons of them, though their application may have to be adapted. For example, when grappling got popular, a lot of martial artists of practice forms, began to look at their material, and some of the older material, they're like, wait a second, this actually kind of fits stopping a grappler from taking you down. Let's do something with this, right? And it doesn't have to be from karate. For example, Hung Gar Kung Fu has quite a lot of training on power development and, drills to develop the mechanics of your body. And, you've also got to be careful with this, and I've got to be careful with this, because a lot of karate people are completely ignorant of Chinese martial arts, and they're incredibly biased on what they see. when I did the Show Me State games here, I did the second half of Fuk Fu, but I modified the beginning to add the Qigong section from Gongji. And I had a conversation with one of the karate judges, and he was completely ignorant of the fact that the form that I performed in front of him contained every body mechanic and power generation method in his chosen style of Shorin-ryu and his previous style of Shotokan, plus more that they don't use. Okay? And, I also understand there's a danger that some people use what I said here to slander and malign Chinese martial arts and say, we don't use the body mechanics, you gotta borrow it from karate. No, we don't. Yes, we work on rotating your hip. Just like any other martial art that has a strike, you better do it. Unlike karate, we also turn the waist, extend the shoulder. We can use inclination. We can use whipping motions that you don't see in karate. And the funny thing is, when you see karate spar, and they've been training with their shoulders locked and body completely upright, when they actually spar, those shoulders turn. They'll incline. Okay? Some of them even kind of manage the sort of whip-like strike, or the dropping and the rising whips that, in some Chinese styles are there from day one. What I'm saying is, if you want to be able to use your Wing Chun or your Hung Gar, first of all, develop the power. There's a lot of talk about internal power versus external power versus soft versus hard versus chi. Folks, it's often not that complicated. It's in the basic mechanics of your style. You can have all the chi in the world, and if you try to hit someone with a palm strike and your hip doesn't rotate and it's just your arm hitting, no matter how much chi you're circulating, it's not going to do anything. And people like, Xu Shidong and all those people are going to knock you the hell out in front of cameras, right? And same thing with application. I mean, aside from just sparring, I think a mistake a lot of Chinese people have done in the past, and I'm so glad I never had this problem, okay, is they never spar, they barely do applications. And more importantly, they don't do things like semi-free sparring, semi-controlled sparring, multiple person drills. There's a whole gradation of different drills that will allow you to utilize your techniques in addition to different multiple formats of sparring and spontaneous reaction drills and hitting equipment, right? That will help you make your art functional. But you're not going to get there by being lazy. As an instructor, you're doing everyone a disservice. You're destroying the honor of Chinese martial art. Things like Wing Chun, Hung Gar, Tai Chi, Xing Yi, right? Because you taught the partial art. And then on top of that, there's many of you purposely withholding things that are just vital components of the art, and often it's for petty reason. All right? Really look into your soul. What kind of a person are you? What kind of a instructor are you that you're willing to ask for loyalty and obedience, accept money, take people's time, tell them the art can do all these things, and not actually teach them how to do it? Right? We live in a different age. Back in the days, you might have to be careful about teaching someone how to fight with Kung Fu, because they might go out there and hurt someone, and it was the only way they could have hurt someone was with their Kung Fu. It is a different world, folks. Everybody's got guns. I got guns. A lot of martial artists have guns. Nobodies have guns. Criminals have guns. Cops have guns. Pedophiles have guns. Murderers have guns. Nuns have guns. Priests have guns. Everyone's got a gun. Everyone can get a hold of multiple knives. Anybody can download information on how to make poisons. Right? If you want to commit some type of evil or crime in this world, it's almost free license. All right? And again, on contrary to that, a lot of crime is trending down as the economy improves, and as we come out of the lockdown and all these things, right? So now is the time to teach the full art of your kung fu. And if you are the kind of person, I don't care what your age, if you're the kind of person that came up when maybe you were only learning forms and weapons and maybe some two-man sets, and you never truly delved into how to apply your art in all these ways, get together with your more mature students, your more intelligent students, and say, look, we got to pass this on to the next generation and make this a viable art. And we can only do that by developing a curriculum and training methods that will allow us to bring this out. I have the art, but I don't have all the keys to making it. But let's develop those keys. All right? And one thing is, let's look at how people arrange their curriculums and their training and approach beginners, because the beginners are literally the most crucial part of your school, because they become the next generation and teach the next and the next. And if they're given a system that takes all this into account, they will achieve what you want them to achieve by and large, right? Even the ones that drop out and learn the art incompletely after 6 months or maybe a year, they will have the ability and the prowess to protect themselves and others and show people that this art is viable. It's a disgrace that there are people out there calling themselves masters getting destroyed in front of cameras, right? Especially when we have so much to offer. All right? If we don't have the acceptance and respect and honor that other martial arts do, it's time for us to say it's our fault and it's our responsibility to fix it. Have a good day.